What's the difference between an Xbox One and a 10th gen Civic? The Xbox's vents are actually functional. This Batmobile has been provided to us by Dakimucker Laundromat on Instagram, so give him a follow for some shitposting. Now, I know I'm already giving it a hard time because of the angry lines, but let's delve into why this base Civic, in all sincerity, is one of the best economy cars I've been able to drive so far. This particular Civic is a 2017 EXT, not an SI or Type R, but that's completely okay, because this little base model has positive manifold pressure. This EXT comes with the 1.5 liter L15 B7 and a single scroll fidget spinner sized turbo making about 16.5 psi stock. If I could say anything about this engine from my experience, it's that it's a car that is more than willing to give you all the power it has.
To the speed limit? Nice!
When you ask for power, it'll feed you all of the boost you want with very little lag. It's smooth in both ride quality and power delivery, even if the CVT is simulating gear changes. Don't worry, I'll get to that. It's got a good amount of torque and a pleasant exhaust note too. Overall, I just can't really find anything to complain about. I mean, I guess it's a little flaccid at the bottom of the rev range, but that's why this gets almost 30 mpg combined. But back to speed. This is much faster than my Sonata. Both are advertised to have 175 horsepower, but the Civic is actually making those numbers while missing a liter of displacement. The best part is that the Civic's dyno numbers actually match the advertising because Honda had to smack it with a bunch of nerfs to avoid it being too fast for an econo box. If 220 horse and 280 torque to the wheels is more your style, and you can't spring for an SI for whatever reason, all you need is a 93 tune and some basic bolt-ons. I'm dead serious. Even an 87 tune will bump it up by about 20 horsepower. Of course, most people, including the owner, aren't going to do this, but I figured I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. But if you have the automatic, you should try to keep it stock-ish. You can score the belt if you dial up the torque too much, but hey, at least you get S gear, which keeps the revs higher and tightens all the electronic controls. But I understand why Honda went for the dream-crushing CBT. It's smoother because there's no gear changes, and that's what's important to non-enthusiasts. Performance-wise, it's really weird because the transmission will just hold the engine at 6,000 RPM and the note will stay the same, but you'll see your speed increase. It's bizarre. I would also like to touch on the exterior styling a bit because it seems to be divisive. Some appreciate the brash, in-your-face design while others really dislike the angry face. I find myself somewhere in the middle because besides some points of contention, I like sharp edges considering I grew up in the boob car era, but it's just so angry. Like, I know most of Honda's lineup resembles ROG motherboards, but the Civic looks the most gamer out of them all. 2 spoilers for that extra downforce. I can make jokes about how the Civic looks like something Shar Aznavour would drive all day, but ultimately, styling is subjective. Personally, I really like it. Even though I joke about it, it's well proportioned and clean. I don't know, my car design vocabulary is lacking, but I just think they're neat. I'm just going to move on to the interior now, and in short, it's Honda, it's fantastic. The plastics are sturdy and the panels don't flop around, unlike a certain mid-2000s compact car. But here comes the Mad Catz aesthetic again with these pistol grips. And even though these seats look like Walmart gamer chairs, I can confidently say that they don't compress your spine into a pair of tangled earbuds. But even I could tell a lot of care and money went into the interior, and that's something I appreciate. The doors have these water bottle holders, and there's this little bridge specially made to hold and charge smartphones, and I really like this instrument cluster. Putting a boost gauge or an MPG gauge there was just a phenomenal touch. Although I don't like how the speedometer skips numbers when you're going fast. It looks really choppy and reminds me of playing Garry's Mod on Canadian servers. Oh god. I guess the radio UI could use a bit of work, but you don't have to use it much if you just plug your phone in, so it's kind of a non-issue. Once again, it's a Civic. There's no glaring flaws to it. There's absolutely nothing I can really criticize on this car. Well, okay, there's one flaw, that being the understeer, but for the target audience of the car, it makes sense. If a usually more tame driver goes into a corner way too fast, slight understeer is going to teach them that they're reaching the car's limits. And if the car does lose control, it's going to hit the front of the car instead of the sides, which is a lot more dangerous. Maybe if you swap the tires, it would hit corners a little better, but something's telling me there's more to it. The owner says it handles confidently until you ask it to do something weird, and I think that's kind of good for a car like this. So, I guess this is the part of the video where I give it a recommendation, or don't, but how could I not give a Honda Civic a recommendation? It's a Honda Civic. These things have been super reliable since day one of their existence. It's a fuel-efficient, spacious, comfortable ride that feels sporty without being too much for anyone to handle. I don't see any reason not to recommend it. I'm not trying to shill for Honda here, but really, this is just a good car. Point is, if you need a car that does transport things and can be a little fun, get a Civic EXT. If you want something more fun, get an SI, Type R, or something that's not a base Civic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.